Hello and welcome. This is Little Wave with your stars within. I am wanting to talk today about the upcoming transits through February 2024 into a little bit of March, just to give you a little picture of the energy we're in and also where we're headed. So let's start with there is nothing in retrograde. We are, full speed ahead. Sometimes when there's nothing in retrograde, it can feel just like life is moving so fast because this is the most forward motion. There's this mix in life, a few steps forward, reflect, create, reconsider, work with what you've created for a while. So we spend a lot of time with our creation, reviewing them. So these times where everything is forward and we're really moving, we're making decisions and movements that are going to be refined over the next longer period of time as different planets will retrograde and go back and forth these different degrees. But we're full force ahead right now, making choices and moving ourselves in a direction. So we'll stay like this all the way through March with nothing in retrograde. It will be early April when Mercury goes retrograde, changing this. I want to just look far ahead for a moment because as we talk about what's going on now and for the next few weeks, I think it's important to know that we're building to some really significant moments in April. We have two really big things happening. One is we have the big US eclipse in early April, and that's going to be in conjunction with Chiron. So we're going to do a very separate video to talk about that, but it's a pretty big moment. And then April 20th, we have the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, which has been building for quite some time. So it's a, also very significant moment. So April has some big happenings. So everything between here and there is what kind of our last chances here to be seeding our futures, to be saying, where are we capable of going with these really major transits? Some transits can propel you forward in really significant and gigantic ways. But those same transits, when we don't know how to work with them, we don't know how to use them, we haven't properly prepared for the intensity of the energy, they can really overwhelm us. And we find ourselves in all kinds of mental health problems, overwhelm, stress, anxiety, because we're not understanding the importance of the energy. We're not understanding what is being asked of us, what choices are in front of us, and what our wisest choices would be. Okay, so knowing we're leading there, let's talk about, there's more going on towards the end of February. So let me just touch on here kind of early mid-February. Pluto is saying hello to the early degrees of Aquarius. He's going to be moving through the 1 and the 2 very slowly. So if you have anything in the very early degrees of fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus, you're going to be feeling the Plutonian transit. And what's happening here right now is that a couple of personal planets are going past Pluto. So we already had Mercury, went past Pluto on February 6th, 7th. We have Mars 14, 15, 16, and then Venus 17th, 18th, 19th. So right in a row, we kind of have Mercury, Mars, Venus, all passing Pluto. Now, those are going to be fast transits. They're not long lasting, they're not long affecting because they move quickly. But what they are doing is they're giving you a glimpse of Pluto as related to those planets. And if you're in a Pluto transit, meaning if you have something in the very early degrees of the fixed sign, so this Pluto is really affecting you, this is going to very much personalize that effect. You may come to understand a little bit like, oh, That's what this transit's going to be about for me. So let's talk about both. If you are, if you're not having a major Pluto transit, then you're having a more minor experience where Mercury, Mars, Venus is just going to go past Pluto. And what Pluto is going to do is he sometimes lets you like peek into that closets full of skeletons, or secrets can rise. If somebody's been dishonest with you, that can come to the surface. And if you were the person who was dishonest, then that could come to the surface as well. So you may have an experience where some things that were previously hidden to you arise, whether that's in relationships, whether that's with people you trusted, with some maybe actions you were taking, some choices you were making. You might have some, oh, I see something I didn't see before, and that might change some things for you. Like I said, it's brief. So when we have these brief transits, sometimes we're getting a glimpse from a different angle, from a different consciousness. Pluto is basically going, here, you can use my eyes for a moment and see this. But now what do you do with it? Because if Pluto's not sitting on you for 2 or 3 years, you can say, oh, whew, okay, that week or two went by and it's done and I feel better. Well, then you're going to forget about it. And then what happens is later, when you go through a major transit, you end up having to deal with it. And you're like, oh man, I saw this however long ago, but I didn't actually deal with it. So this is a glimpse. For those who are going through a Pluto transit, if you have Pluto at the 29 of Capricorn, the 1, 2 of Aquarius, or any of the fixed signs, the 1, 2 of any of the fixed signs, then these are really personalizing it for you. These are showing you the major changes. Pluto is going to put you through major transformation. And it's giving you a little glimpse at every level, at the mercurial level, right? Your thinking process, speaking process, Mars, your willpower, what you can or can't do, Venus, your relational level. It's showing you at every level what needs to change. So you're getting a really clear message. So really pay attention. All right. Let's go forward and talk about end of February, because that's really some big stuff. We've got a couple things going on at the same time. We're going to have the full moon at 5 degrees Virgo. So that's going to affect the mutable signs. So Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Gemini. And this is like February 24th. So this is right where Saturn just went past. Saturn kind of went in and out of the, 1 through 6, 7 degrees of the mutable signs. So this is going to be a full moon really illuminating, were there karmas or lessons left unlearned? Saturn just spent the last number of months going back and forth this spot, maturing us, growing us. And if we didn't get the message, this is really going to illumine that for us. So it's going to, really throw light on any karmic patterns that have not been looked at. Now, this is happening, as I said, in the mutable signs. But at the same time, around the same time, February 26th, Chiron is going to conjunct with the North Node. This is a biggie. This is around the 16th, 17th degree of Aries. So this is going to affect the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. And this is not far from where this big eclipse with Chiron is going to be. So this is giving us a little tapping on that. This is showing us where our wounding, where do we need to heal? Because the North Node, we call it our destiny, but it's really karmically what we need to learn. It's where we're lacking in knowledge and experience, and what an area of life that's challenging for us. So it's our destiny because we're drawn to have a lot of it. A whole lot of it comes into our life, wherever our North Node is. So when we look at Chiron in the North Node, we're looking at, what is it that I need to learn? What is it that is in my way of fulfilling my destiny? What are the wounds that need to be healed so that I can actually go towards this destiny point, so that I can get some competency in this area that has eluded me so that I can go forward. Because you're really being asked to grasp something in the area of life of your North Node. So this is going to bring to the surface the wounding pattern that keeps you kind of stuck. So it has a karmic flavor to it as well. So when you can look at your life, when you can look at your patterns and look at your experience from this perspective, it can help you really start to take some different actions. And remember that the wounding, it's like the wounded healer, right? It's through this process of attending to our own wound that we become most able to help others. As Rumi said, the wound is where the light enters. And so allowing ourselves to feel into these patterns and see this woundedness and begin to work our healing process will open the gates to our destiny, to what we're really here to do. So there is a karmic release that is possible. Okay. Then there's a couple, again, shorter transits happening. That's, end of February. So here now, early March, we've got March 3rd and 4th, we're going to have Venus squaring Uranus. And then the 9th and 10th, where Mars squares Uranus. So we're, right in a row coming out of this full moon and this big noticing, oh, okay, this is where my karmic patterns, and we're jumping into this Uranian energy. Now, Uranus does a couple of things, right? If we don't know how to work with him, then it's like he's just shaking the bee's nest. He's shaking your snow globe. He's chaotic. And you may feel very overwhelmed by him and not understand why life keeps throwing these curveballs. But when you understand the Uranian energy, you understand that he's really here to free you. It's a consciousness shift. He's here to move you to the next level of consciousness, the next understanding. And in order to do that, he has to shake you free of all these old things, these heavy tendencies that hold you back, right? Saturn is that tradition or that karma, and then Uranus is that freedom. And right in between them is the path of Chiron. So we do this healing work, and that's what frees us from the karmic pattern to have the aha that Uranus offers. Instead of the crisis and catastrophe, we can have the consciousness shift. But we can't understand the next consciousness. The cell doesn't understand the organ doesn't understand the body. The next consciousness is out of reach. There is this leap that has to happen. So what we're going to see here is around the 19th, 20th degree of the fixed signs, we're going to have this square between Venus and Uranus, and then Mars and Uranus. Now, I want to note that this is right around the same area because we had the new moon. I didn't mention it earlier because it has already passed, but February 9th, we had the new moon in 20 degrees Aquarius. So that also squared the Uranus there in Taurus, so fixed sign. So whatever new seeds planted around February 9th, around that new moon, we then go through the full moon that shows us what patterns are still in our way. And then we have these sort of shakeups coming in March. When we have the shakeup that says, hey, what are you doing? And is it what you want to be doing? Is this, Mars is actually going to pass, the square with Jupiter before getting to Uranus. So there's this question of, where am I spending my energy? What are the relationships I'm in? Whether it's friendship, business, romance, what choices am I making with my free will? Because everything in my life is what I'm choosing. So if I'm in dramatic situations, I'm choosing to allow that and continue that in my life. If I'm in relationships that I'm crying a lot and hurt or begging, I'm allowing that in my life. If I'm in friendships that I have a tendency towards jealousy, then I'm allowing that behavior within myself. This is having you take a real look at, where are you spending your choice, your energy, your interactions. And is that aligned? So you're going to look as it past Jupiter, you're going to really feel it. And then you go to Uranus where there could be this shakeup. So from, February here, end of February to beginning of March, they're moving through this square that says, hey, wake up. There might be a qualitatively a different consciousness level that you might want to experience. Part of that is going to be, your willingness and openness. Similar to that Plutonian when they went past Pluto, right? This was brief. These are fast-moving planets. This is a brief contact. So here you get to borrow the eyes of Uranus and say, oh, this is what it looks like from the next consciousness. Now I could decide to go back to sleep and put that away. Those problems I saw, I don't want to deal with those, and I feel better in a couple days. Or I can say, okay, I saw what I needed to see. This is going to be bigger down the road if I don't take the gift that this brief transit gave me. So it's really a gift that we're getting. It can feel like a tension. It can feel like a struggle. It's always hard to look at things that are difficult, but we're getting the wake-up call that we need. So then we'll move into that new moon, March 10th, which is going to be at 20 degrees Pisces. And, that's going to be close to Neptune, which is more Piscean energy. This is really like the time to be dreamy, to be in the spiritual, to really envision what you want to plant. This is the planning of the planting for the next season of life. And we're going to have this big eclipse energy coming in April that's going to propel us. So we really just want to get ourselves right. We want to take these energies. We want to see what's being offered to us. We want to see the patterns that we have that are holding us back. And we want to take action on those so that we can enter this major energy in April and get the biggest blessing, the biggest boost that we can get in our lives instead of an overwhelm of things that we haven't dealt with. So that's really the upcoming energies, and how to work with planetary energies is that we have to be responsible for our lives. These energies are coming in and they are teaching us, and there's things that we need to learn, but there's also a lot that we can see that we don't take action on. And so we wait for these really intense moments where we have to face it instead of listening to the wisdom from those briefer transits that are giving us the information with a whole lot of room to figure out what we want to do with it. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you work wisely with this energy. If you want to take a look at where these things are in your chart or just have a more personal consultation, feel free to reach out to me at yourstarswithin.com. Thank you. Bye.